So the food that I chose to do is shepherd's pie, and I chose this because it is an Irish dish that my family has used a lot, and my grandmother makes it for me all the time, and she learned how to make it from her grandmother. So I asked her about it, and then I asked her the origin of it, and it's actually the origin of shepherd's pie comes from 1791 when this is when potatoes began to be really commonly used and really affordable for people who were like of a lower class, and they usually lived in cottages. So they actually began to call it cottage pie, and then it was usually made with beef, and then shepherd's pie came from when they would use it with lamb because shepherds watch sheep and lamb. So that's where it originally came from. So I pulled up a recipe from the internet because there's a bunch of different ways to make it, but the recipe that I found was the calories per cup of this recipe. So this recipe includes milk, beef tips, tomato puree, potatoes, onions, celery, carrots, margarine, and beef gravy. And the calories per cup for this recipe were 272. And the fat amounts were about 9 grams per fat, so it was about 27% of fat all around. The carbs were about 35 grams, and the protein was about 16 grams. So the carbs is about 50% for the whole serving, and the protein is about 23% for the whole serving. The two micronutrients that are most prevalent are vitamin C and iron. It's about 28% of your vitamin C intake for the whole day for 1 cup of this, and there's about 12% of iron per cup. So I would probably say that this is not a healthy option if you're eating it because there's about 11% of your cholesterol daily intake, there's 24% of your sodium, which is kind of a lot. The fat content is obviously a lot, it's 25% of your daily intake, and there is 2.27% of saturated fat, and as we all know, saturated fat is not that great for you. So I would probably deem this not the healthiest option in the world. But it is pretty tasty. How to make this is you have on your ingredients. So we have the milk and the beef, or lamb if you're making it like the traditional way, tomatoes, potatoes, and the onions and the celery. So you start by heating your oven to about 400 degrees, and then you make the potatoes. So just normally how you would make mashed potatoes, you peel the potatoes, boil them, and then you mash them with your milk and your butter or margarine if you're being a little bit healthier. And then you season the mashed potatoes however you would want, and then you would cook the vegetables in a pan, and you would add the meat and some beef stock into the vegetables, and then you would cook that until the meat is brown, and then you would put the mashed potatoes on top of the meat sauce that has the meat and the vegetables and the beef stock in it, and then you would put the meat sauce into like a glass pan, and then you would put the mashed potatoes on top and then stick it in the oven for about 35 to 45 minutes, and then take it out and serve it. So I do have an interviewee here. This is Faith.
Hi.
And she is also of Irish heritage. So Faith, do you also eat shepherd's pie?
I do. I eat a lot of it.
Do you? Who makes it at home?
Mostly my dad makes it, but it's kind of become something that we always make, and I make it sometimes.
How often do you guys make it? Is there like a special time that you make it or anything?
When I was back home, it would be something that we'd have at least like once a week, or it was like very common to happen.
Yeah, so you eat this
It would
a lot,
happen
huh?
every few weeks for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you think it's hard to make since you know how to make it?
No, I think it's very simple,
Yeah.
and depending on like what ingredients you have sitting around, whether it's instant potatoes, which aren't healthy, but whatever like frozen vegetables, you can kind of just throw it together and make your own version of it.
Makes sense. Do you know why it's culturally relevant to you? Did your dad say where he got the recipe from or anything?
Well, I mean, my family is Irish, so like it's just kind of something that we love, and we always love going to Irish like restaurants and stuff like that, and we always get it when we go there too.
Right.
So we have to try everybody's version of it.
Is it as good as home?
Well, home is just, it's the fatty potatoes. You know what I mean? The home
Yeah. I
it's
got
home.
you.
But there's stuff, I've definitely had way better ones done at
At a
restaurants
restaurant.
by like chefs. So.
Right, that's true. Are there any other Irish dishes that you eat at all?
I would say corned beef is like the other main one that we would eat.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of like all like the oniony type stuff and things like that. But corned beef for sure. My mom likes to make that.
That's awesome. All right. Well, thank you. I appreciate your input on the situation.
You're welcome.
And that is it. If you guys have any questions or anything, let me know, message me, and that is my video on shepherd's pie.